All right, welcome back for round two of Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games. This round, we are bringing you a matchup between Ryan Westberg on a Whirza deck, that's the Thopter Sword combo deck, and Justin Armstrong playing a Naya Vizier combo build. So we're going to get that Vizier Devoted Druid combo, but this build, I believe, also contains Wrenn and 6, and we'll see what else the red is here for.
Yeah, I'm interested to see why, like what Justin saw in Ren and 6 specifically in this Devoted Druid combo deck. We've kind of been seeing the deck speed up a little bit for a while during the Hogak meta, and now that things have calmed down, I think Ren uh, purely used to get lands to recycle fetch lands doesn't seem very good, but I imagine Justin's maybe running some number of cycling lands to try and actually really mine some value out of the Rens.
And we're going to see from Ryan Island, Arkham's Astrolabe, draw a card. I'm a big fan of this card. 1 mana Prophetic Prism. You can't love it much more than that.
Yeah, I think it's great in Modern, and it only gets better if the format slows down a little bit.
Yes. You also see him running out of Mox Opal there, which is not something you always do until you're about to set up Metalcraft. But against a white deck, I don't know if you might suspect Athalia, and if you are suspecting Athalia, it's always great to just run your zeros straight out.
And Feudal, yeah, thanks for circling back around. We haven't really had a whole lot of time to run any kind of invite or smaller events, but hoping to maybe circle back around to that in the near future. Possibly get some more legacy into the Portland paper lineup. We'll see.
I've been thinking about starting to play Legacy. Should I play
It's
Legacy?
a wonderful, wonderful format.
Thursdays?
Thursdays.
All right. Well,
Thursdays at the Portland Game Store is kind of the current home for Legacy in Portland.
yeah, it's been a bit up in the air since Time Vault closed, but maybe that's where I'll find myself on Thursday. Looks like Ryan is going to run out the Sword of the Meek here, so that Opal is now active, and we are building towards the combo.
Yeah, we're kind of at that, we're just kind of in a race situation at this point. So if Justin's got, believe he could, if he has Eldamri's Call here and another land, we could get there. If we have the Vizier, obviously, we could get there. And then Justin would be looking for the, looking for a payoff. It does sound like Ryan has Jirper Aether Grid in hand, which would be great here if he can generate some Thopters.
Yeah, it does take out. Yeah, he needs one more artifact to take out the Devoted Druid. He's got an active Giver of Runes, which is a little difficult, so it's going to make. Because the Hex Drinker is on 2, so the Hex Drinker is currently still a 2/1, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, I believe it doesn't level up until 4. So Ryan's just emptying his hand.
Ensnaring Bridge is a great answer to Hex Drinker. It does not have protection from Ensnaring Bridge.
Doesn't. Yeah, turns out nothing does.
No.
Except for plant tokens.
Oh, bless.
They're
bless you,
totally
Ensnaring Bridge.
protected.
They are super protected. That and Noble Hierarchs.
Yeah. No GTAs available in Modern to attack with your 0/1s and then pump them, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, unfortunately?
Yeah. Well, you know, we have Stoneforge Mystic now, and Stoneforge Mystic and GTA are BFFEs.
Yeah, yeah, so the unbanning of Stoneforge, we'll come back around to the unbanning of Stoneforge Mystic, but you don't think that's excessive?
No, it's absolutely excessive.
Okay,
I've like every creature deck would be a Stoneforge Mystic
just
deck.
make it clear for everybody watching that. So we're gonna see.
Got a green floating from the Devoted Druid. Devoted Druid acting as a mana dork at this point, which is not exactly where this deck wants to be.
No. It's got some larger plans than that. But we're going to level up that Hex Drinker to 3.
Okay. I believe it needs to be 4+.
Well, 3 makes it protection from instants, but now he can't get under the bridge. Though level up also is sorcery, so the only option was really to get in for 2 anyway. We're going to untap Devoted Druid. We're going to make another mana with it and lose it. So we've got the Fair Devoted Druid plan. Renegade.
Okay, interesting. So I don't think we don't actually make another mana when we untap Devoted Druid there, right? Don't we put the ability on the stack to untap it, but it tosses a -1/-1 counter on it, and it dies via state-based effects before it actually gets to untap and make mana?
Yeah, we floated 1. We untapped it. We made another 1. We used the first one to level up the Hexdrinker, and the second one to...
We just killed it to bring it back with Renegade
We
Rallier.
did. We
right?
just killed it so that
Okay.
it would be able to come back with Renegade Rallier without a counter on it at all.
Okay. It does activate the Revolt for the Rallier, and
It does.
It's kind of an elegant way to get use out of that effect.
It's tricky, and if you're still on this Fair Devoted Druid plan, it gives you an extra green mana.
So I imagine Ryan's just kind of racing towards this Ether Grid. Justin's not going to win this game, I think, going through the bridge, likely.
No.
So
Seeing Whirza right now, I'm lowering my estimations of Justin's chance of winning this game at all. So we are 1 Thopter Foundry short of a fruitcake here.
Is that construct a windmill with a tail and legs?
It's the unstable construct. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have the foil construct, and they also have the Thopter. So now we have a Gearper Ether Grid on the board, which is going to allow Ryan to tap any 2 artifacts to ping something for 1. This effect, notoriously really good against Vizier-style combo decks. See if Justin can rip it before Ryan has a chance to untap with the ability to mow down any Devoted Druid in sight.
Yeah, they said GT was good. They haven't seen Aether Grid and Thopter armies. All right, it's too far. I'm going to walk it back.
I'm sorry, you got me there. Oh, this construct actually, so Ensnaring Bridge is a great card, but this construct is really just half of an Ether Grid activation at this point.
Yes.
Although he does have a card in hand, so that construct could be blocking a 1 power. Anyway.
We're tossing the Devoted Druid again.
For another Renegade Rallier.
All right. Okay.
This is a value train to nowhere at this point.
But,
we're going to fetch.
How is Justin going to win here without the Devoted Druid side of things? I mean, I guess you're not going to anyway through an Ether Grid activation.
No.
So it's possible that
he's got to find a way to kill that Ensnaring Bridge. And I don't know what he has in his main deck as far as artifact removal goes, but if he can kill that Ensnaring Bridge, then the Hexdrinker can close this game, hopefully before Ryan finds a Thopter Foundry. But if he doesn't have an answer to Bridge in his main deck, I'm not sure that we're doing a lot more than going to game 2.
I think I'd imagine that Justin could or would be playing a copy of Knight of Autumn at least. I mean, it's kind of been one of those great modal cards that I think is very defensible to be playing main deck. So we see double bolt on Whirza here.
And Ryan says okay. Okay, we're going to go straight to the dome against Justin. And yet Ballista would work here, but I don't think he has time.
Yeah.
For Ballista, if he can't set up the Vizier combo, that Ballista is going to be coming down as a 1/1, and it's not gonna do it with a Gearper Ether Grid in play. Yep. So we are going to follow with another Whirza. So unconcerned about the 2-for-1 with another one as backup. We have 4, 5, 6. We have the ability to activate Ether Grid 3 times this turn. And I think, I like that better than trying to spin Whirza and maybe hit a Thopter Foundry, because I think you've got your opponent pretty much on inevitability here, and you've got him on probably a 3-turn clock if you draw another artifact.
Yeah, I think I'd probably start by getting the Giver of Runes off the board. Pretty unconcerned with the Hexdrinkers and Renegade Ralliers here.
I'm not sure you bother with the Giver of Runes. I think you just try to close because you know Justin doesn't have it. Oh no, he's gonna go for it. I guess that makes sense because if he, do you have enough to overwhelm the giver activations? Should he draw the
Yeah,
Vizier?
it just seems like it's the only possible way that Justin can get back into this game is somehow find a way to both protect his devoted druid and get the Vizier on the table.
So there's a pretty tall order.
Yeah. Um, even if the bridge goes away, I guess Hex Drinker would become a problem. But the Renegade Ralliers are pretty easily blocked by the constructs.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna untap for Ryan here. All right, what do we get? What's good? What's good? We're gonna murder another giver of runes, perhaps.
I really like this Whirza deck, and I think it's really great that it doesn't play Ancient Stirrings because I think it's helping Ancient Stirrings stay under the radar for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think that if this deck were capitalizing on Ancient Stirrings, if Urza and Ancient Stirrings were sitting in the same deck, we'd have a problem because both of those cards are incredibly potent. I'm a big fan, but so far they really don't make sense in the same deck because, Urza really wants that heavy blue investment. Stirrings wants you to stay away from your colors. And so I think it's a nice job from a design perspective that they made two cards that interact heavily with artifacts that almost can't go in the same shell.
I don't know about that vibe pizza.
Stirrings isn't even good. Yeah, just depends on what you're stirring for.
I mean, they do, but it's a great. I mean, I've played a good bit of Amulet Titan, and he's a great cantrip in that deck.
Yeah, I've played Lantern and a Dice Prison variant with Ancient Stirrings, and card's great. So we're gonna see here some Psi Master Thopterus cast off the blue mana coming from those artifacts. Or just those artifacts make mana. We've just got endless amounts of mana for Ryan here. So now every artifact that comes down is going to generate a Thopter. Every artifact cast is going to generate a Thopter, which means that every single artifact is one more damage off the Ether Grid every single turn. This is ending quickly.
Yeah, I think we're kind of at the time in game one where we start to talk a little bit about clock management. So here at Guardian Games, we play 45-minute rounds. So, you're generally wanting to finish a game in 15 minutes or under. Give yourself some time. We're kind of right at that 15-minute point. If you're Justin and you have maybe a one-outer, you're kind of playing to a pretty small out, at what point do you consider conceding here?
We are going to see an Eladamri's call, which is going to get him the Vizier if he wants it. And he does want it. So maybe he has a plan in mind. He has one more card in hand. We're looking at casting Vizier. We have an active Giver of Runes, and we have enough for 2 Gear per Ether Grid activations. Well, this is interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a game.
Yeah, this is a great final push. So Justin is actually insulated here because of the Giver of Runes, and so should be able to essentially make infinite mana. Justin does so and levels up the Hex Drinker to maximum. Unfortunately, that's not actually good enough with the bridge on the board.
No. And it's not good enough when you're getting pinged to the face with Gear per Ether Grid. That is one of the weaknesses of the Vizier combo deck. I feel like that deck, in all of its forms, is weak to spot removal. Weak to bullet, push, path, all of those. And it's also just sometimes can't find a payoff. And so infinite mana is great, but when what you're doing with infinite mana is leveling up your Hex Drinker, it's not going to get it done. You need that Duskwatch Recruiter to dig up your Ballista to do the whole song and dance and face your opponent for a million.
Right, and I know we have come back to this a number of times, but let's say you get rid of the ensnaring bridge here. If you're on Justin's side, you get a free attack with the Hex Drinker, and then you're looking at your opponent possibly even having enough creatures to just take you out after that.
Yeah.
So it looks like Justin's taking a quick look at the main deck, but it looks like they have scooped at this point.
Yeah, Justin has picked it up here, and so we'll be heading to sideboarding for these 2 decks, and then maybe we will see more of a game plan tailored to beating an ensnaring bridge. Because yeah, there was, there is the ballista option, but not in that game. And it does seem like he's going to do a lot better if he can deal with a bridge. Justin, for sideboard options, we're looking at Tikali Honor Guard, Remorseful Cleric, Cindervines, Voice of Resurgence, a couple copies of Veil of Summer, a Collector, a Knight of Autumn, Gaddock Teague, Harsh Mentor, Core Firewalker, Damping Sphere, Spellskite, Revoker, and Scavenging Ooze. That is 15 cards with 14 unique names, which is something I'm a huge fan of just in general. I know I can talk about why in a minute, but what I like here, I like Knight of Autumn. I like Collector Oof. It just shuts off Thopter Foundry completely. Cindervines is actually a little mopey here. I'm not as into it. It tags bridge, so I guess there's that. So maybe you want it. Yeah, it could be okay. Gaddock Teague is a consideration, but I'm not in love with it. Like, it stops the casting of Urza and but not Urza. Sorry. So I'm not actually down for Gaddock Teague here. Revoker is decent. Revoker can take out Thopter Foundry or Gearper Aethergrid.
Yeah, I like Revoker. I agree with pretty much everything you said. Did you mention Spellskite?
I mentioned it was there. What are you thinking?
I kind of like it. I think it's good against Aethergrid if you're just trying to get that final little push to win. You can kind of divert some of the pings. I also think it can potentially take a removal spell. I'm just noticing that Ryan does have some Galvanic Blast, a Fatal Push in his sideboard that I imagine would come in, some kind of single target stuff. There's also a Dead of Winter that I think is a slam dunk to bring in here.
Absolutely.
Grafdigger's Cage I'm a little bit medium on. We did not see, we only saw Eldamri's Call as a search card so far, and that does not get hit by Grafdigger's Cage. And we didn't see as many of the other kind of like turbo druid pieces like Postmortem Lunge.
Yeah.
So that card seems medium in the matchup. A couple of Thoughtseizes I think would be reasonable to bring in, but not necessarily slam dunks here. And then some cards that I think are probably meh, like Teferi and Damping Sphere.
Yeah. Honestly, it depends on how much you're comfortable shaving. I do like Thoughtseize in this matchup just because it is a selection combo deck, and if you can look at a hand with a, 1 copy of Vizier in it and take it, then you're really just challenging them to have to find another. Or if they have any of their hate pieces like Collector Oof, you can just snag that right away.
All right. I can get in on that.
But we will see what these players have chosen to do as they shuffle up for game 2.
Vibe Pizza, I'll address a little bit of what you said. I think obviously Green Demonic Tutor for one is people overhyping it. I completely agree with that. And you're correct that in Amulet Titan, Ancient Stirrings does not find Amulet Titan. However, it does find Amulet. So I don't think it's like the best card in Modern, period, hands down. But I think in the decks that want it, it's a very, very good cantrip.
Worth noting in Amulet Titan, it also finds the bounce land, which you have many copies, so it's not that hard to find a bounce land. It is absolutely critical for doing the really explosive amulet thing. You can have all the amulets and Azuzas you want, but if you have no Kuru, it doesn't work.
And it finds you a Teleria West, which can lead to a Titan. So in that deck, it essentially can find you any part of what you are looking for.
No, with less or fewer steps.
But I appreciate the dissenting viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the card requires a little bit more of a nuanced view. So for Ryan, we're going to see an opener with a Bauble and a fetch land and a Mox. Justin's fetched out a tap land. Interesting to see if Ryan goes for the free opt line. Looks like he wants to keep the bauble, presumably because he's interested in Metalcraft here.
Makes sense. Turn 3 Urza is better than turn 4 Urza.
I love me some turn 3 Urza. So he's going to fetch into turn.
Justin has the scariest start that this deck can present.
Mm-hmm. Land, Devoted Druid, answer me.
Yep. Find some way to get cards out of my hand or hope that I don't have it.
You know, I've heard this several times today. I really don't believe it, and I have yet to hear an argument otherwise. Whirza Thopter Sword with Stoneforge Mystic. Why are you going to run Stoneforge Mystic over Goblin Engineer? I'm looking for an answer.
I think people are really, really hyped on Stoneforge right now, which is understandable. Like, it is exciting that it's coming into Modern. I think if you've played a good bit of Legacy, there are plenty of times with various decks, like even the blue-white Stoneforge decks, when Stoneforge is just like not what you want to be doing, and in Maverick, I'll just trim it all together sometimes. So I think the power level of the card, I think Wizard's going to be kind of pleasantly surprised with bringing it into Modern and having it maybe find a home, but I don't think it's going to blow the format wide open or anything, or be kind of an instant include in any deck that could possibly run it.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually comment on this play here from Ryan. Ryan runs out a Pirate Spellbomb, which does offer an answer to any of Justin's pieces. But then he fires off a Gal Blast on his turn. I guess, you want to keep the Druid from just generating mana as value straight up. But you also let Justin know that you are... that he needs to play another Devoted Druid. So if you hold... You are presenting that interaction on board, but if you hold the Galvanic Blast and Justin tries to run out another combo piece, then I guess you're taxing him more on his choices, but also just denying him access to the mana, which we see here. Devoted Druid right back in play, but
Yeah,
I wonder a little bit
point
about when you're supposed to sequence that Galvanic Blast.
I think you're probably correct that you hold it until the moment that you need to fire it off. There wasn't a whole lot of value as far as I saw in Ryan firing it off at that point, but
yeah, I mean the value is less green mana for Justin, but that's about it.
Right.
Turn 3 Urza. It's a good place to be. And we've got a 4/4 construct at the moment.
I think that the understated thing that Urza just does in these decks is, even when you don't have a bridge, you can just slam an Urza in a lot of these decks that are kind of presenting mediocre-sized creatures. They are just forced into... They don't get their plan B of, let's attack you down with small creatures.
Okay, and this is what I was worried about at this line. Ryan slams the Urza, cuts himself off red, can't pirate Spellbomb. Here comes Vizier. So... I'm a little bit, as much as I love turn 3 Urza, I may have spoke too soon, and this may not have been the time for turn 3 Urza. And I think you have to be really aware of that when you're facing down Vizier. Like, if you have interaction, you have to hold it.
Yeah, that's very worth pointing out. And obviously, we don't want to be results-based, as it does look like Justin's going to take this game. But yes, had Ryan held the Urza here, he would have had the Spellbomb open for the Devoted Druid.
Yep, and Ryan scoops it up. Yeah, I was thinking that, I said that, and then I looked a minute and I go, not leaving up interaction with the Devoted Druid in play is very dangerous. One that's going to be active on Justin's turn. So, next time you're in that situation, consider. But yeah, we were talking about Stoneforge Mystic. Has anyone... Alright, catching up. I love the discussion. I definitely think it's going to be all over Modern. People are going to play a lot of ideas, and it's going to be super cool. But I just don't think the Urza deck is where it's at. It's got too much of a toolbox that it can entomb with Goblin Engineer. Sword of the Meek really just is live in the graveyard. Can't get Thopter Foundry. There's a lot of reasons that it belongs elsewhere.
Yeah, Yeah, I think yeah, it seems pretty medium. Travis is, yeah, when I saw the comment about Jeskai came in and I saw Travis's face go really close to the screen over there. He was he was preparing his response about the Jeskai haters. We will have to talk to Travis at some time during the broadcast today about the possibility of Stoneforge and Jeskai. That is among, well, at least myself, I'm not exactly sure about you, Urchin, but Travis is the resident Jeskai expert.
100%. I've never seen anyone so consistently play Jeskai as Travis.
Yes, they are. They are a match made in heaven, Travis and Jeskai.
I kind of love that about Modern, though. When people really like key in on decks, you kind of associate them with those decks, and it becomes an identification thing, like or like a sports team or a pet. Like
Yeah,
it's. So I think eternal formats in general are like that.
yeah.
All right, heading to game 3 here for Ryan and Justin. Ryan is not going to keep it.
I
That's a
like the
nope.
audible nope. Sometimes you gotta throw that. You gotta throw that hand back.
Get out.
It's like an affront. The fact that it even presented itself before you is an insult.
This makes you question your life choices. You're like, I really put
Yeah.
7 cards in this deck that could look like this when I drew them. Oh no.
There's some really cool hands like that in Amulet Titan where you're looking at like 3 bounce lands and like a Titan and no land that doesn't return itself to your hand on turn 1, and you're like, did I put these together? You've got like 4 colors worth of cards and like a Bajuka Bog. You're like, well, maybe they're playing a graveyard deck and I won't need anything until turn 7.
I registered these cards. Ah. All right, so we've gone to 6 and we're keeping 7 for Justin. Ryan having a think. He looks like he brought in Teferi here. But we're going to see Prismatica Vista cracked for a basic. Down to 19. Snow-covered island.
It seems like most players that are playing snow-covered lands are flexing the newer full art ones. It seems like maybe the cold snap ones are generally not not even second tier.
No.
And I think the OG Ice Age ones seem to be kind of around, but I haven't seen them that often.
Yeah, I think, their expense is part of it just because, a lot of these snow decks are playing a lot of these basics, and if you didn't already have the Ice Age ones, it's much, much cheaper to just pick up the Modern Horizons ones. But I do think, yeah, that the power rankings there are going, well, in my opinion, Ice Age first, and then Full Art, and then Cold Snap. I know like one person who has a strong preference for the Cold Snap lands, but I'm not that into them.
There's got to be a few people that have that opinion, so I can support that. But yes, I agree with your power rankings 100%.
Yeah. Old lands are sweet. Really into just all the Tempest land art. Anyway.
Chat looks like your average unbanned Stoneforge Mystic Reddit thread right now.
Well,
here are all the things.
Guess what?
Looks like we get a Thoughtseize here. I mean, chat, you can fire it back. We sound like your average modern podcast, so
you should do a podcast.
Portland Paper
Podcast.
Modern podcasts at no home yet for it. Hosted on
Dear chat, would you
Podbean.
listen to our podcast? Thoughts he's taking Eladamri's call, leaving Justin with Ren and 6, Renegade Rallier, and some lands, which is not the explosive combo start that you want from this deck. Triple P.
Bogdan just gives us just the straight up no.
Oh. Cruel.
I kind of like I like a nice capital too to start things out. Just capital N no.
I'm gonna need a full stop or I will not stop.
Yeah.
Here's Ren and 6. A value engine in a combo deck. Let's see what happens. I am getting roasted by friends. In fact, these people who are being the cruelest to me right now. I see you, Vibe Pizza. Ensnaring Bridge. Protect yourself from this, Hex Drinker.
Okay. What are we doing with Ren and 6 here? I need to see why Ren and 6 is in this deck. That's kind of like, this is what I'm here for, is why are we playing Ren and 6? Like, where are our lands that get us value beyond making land drops out of Ren and 6?
I want to know this as well because it just, I mean, if we're here for Lava Dart, we can play Lava Dart. And I haven't seen any cycling lands. I haven't seen any canopies, horizon lands. Here's the Vizier. He's halfway here. We're going to level up Hex Drinker.
To me, the situation with Ren and 6 in Modern right now is kind of like the test about is it a well-designed card. So if Ren and 6 should go in all these decks as a value engine and just getting back land drops and making them is good enough to make this card Modern playable in a ton of decks, I think that play design has failed in its design and it's too strong. If Ren and 6 actually has to warp your deck a little bit for you to be forced to play cycling lands to essentially turn the plus into draw a card, then I think that play design has succeeded in making a powerful but mostly well-balanced planeswalker.
I really like that, actually, as a litmus test for that card. If you can just put it into any deck that can cast it and just generate absurd amounts of value, it's been done wrong. I think that is an incredibly good way to evaluate Ren and 6. All right, and we have slammed Urza from Ryan, making Thopter Foundry. Anything can now sack to Thopter Foundry off its own mana, but we're not generating a ton of extra artifacts, so that's not really what we want to be doing. But just on the other hand, we've got Renegade Rallier, lands. Hex Drinker's a threat. We do have the Vizier, so if we found the Druid, then we're one turn away. What have we found? It's the Druid. Okay. Level up. Ren and 6 is going to go up for no targets.
So we've got kind of that awkward situation where you have the Vizier out first and then you play the Druid. So the combo is kind of a sitting duck here for a turn on Justin's side.
Yeah, you know, ideally you're really interested in
Every time you get a level 8, you get the, you just want level 4? Well, I don't have this just played, so I can't. Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, we've got it worked out. Yeah, you really ideally in this deck want to sequence those in the other order so that the Devoted Druid is ready to go the second the Vizier hits the table.
I always like to mention, too, I really want to appreciate that Ryan has had proper tokens, that both players have played a very clean game, have facilitated things well, and been clear with life totals and everything. So like to point that out when players are, doing a great job on the feature match. We appreciate that.
Yeah. And we're going to reset that clock. That Devoted Druid is going to have to wait once again to be active. Oh man, you should have seen the pile I played in Vegas. I have a whole box of tokens.
I love it.
So good. Literally, I think I carried 44 tokens with me.
Do you feel like that cues, like, do people when they sit down across from you and you've got a box with 44 tokens, are they like, well, this must be like one of...
I sandbag them. I keep the box out of sight. When I need the tokens, I go and I pull out the first pile of tokens. I have them in different colored sleeves. Pull out the first pile of tokens and start using them.
Okay.
When I find another token generator, I pull out the next pile of tokens.
Okay, I like that.
And eventually I have, 20 Mirror, 20 Thopters, and 4 Constructs just sitting at the side of the table, and they're looking just starting to get really nervous.
I like it.
It's pretty great.
I kind of want to like wear a sweatshirt and just keep the tokens in my little pouch, and as I play them, just kind of fish them out of my pouch.
Can we have like a trench coat scenario?
Token trench coat. You've got different ones in different like laminated pockets. Yes.
You need any tokens, kids?
You could do that. I mean, the other classic move is like spilling your goblin tokens on the table when you're not playing Storm. Swoops.
Oh, whoopsie.
Jeez, you know what deck I'm on. Bummer.
Can you sell it? Do you think you can sell that?
No, I can't sell bluffs for. Sorry, I'm gonna keep it PG. I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Can't sell bluffs for shirts. Okay, we're gonna see a fatal push on Vizier here. So we stalled with Teferi to reset the Devoted Druid, and then we found the push for the Vizier. And now we're back in. What do you think here about pushing Vizier over pushing Druid? I guess he's got Renegade Rallier, so Druid can kill itself, Renegade Rallier, get back Druid.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. And there's no fetch currently for
Right.
Ren to get back. So I guess that makes sense in that case. I think otherwise, if you're not looking at something like that, I think killing the Devoted Druid is generally the right call.
Yeah, the Renegade Rallier is a little different here.
Sometimes when I play against these Whirza decks, I just like when their board gets this big, I just kind of glaze over and I'm like, I have to do my thing and I'm going to ignore you.
That's an interesting approach from a Gen player. So how are we feeling about Boggles in this new Mad Max modern metagame?
Oh, we have. You'll have to wait.
Whoa, we're gonna get to Boggles. We're gonna get to Boggles. I am just 44 tokens in a trench coat. And I like the infect token. The infect token is a good one because it's just like that one thing that can peek out and you can accidentally not, and then you just go in and like act. I think you actually undersell that one rather than being like, oh no, you know what deck I'm on. You accidentally have your sideboard divider in the wrong place, and then when you notice, you just calmly but quickly hide it. And
yeah,
then
the
they're
infect
like,
token is your sideboard divider.
oh yeah, and then they are so ready for that. They keep that infect opener, and
Right.
then you land Astrolabe go.
Yeah, they draw their opening hand and they have Malira and they're like snap keep.
Yep.
And they're playing Pod from many years ago, and then you DQ them.
Gotcha. Oh, and we've got the unstable Thopters too. So, those are some of the only foil Thopters I think, and I've been considering.
Buy pizza knows. You gotta DQ them. I mean, you can play Malira, but you know if they are, you call a judge.
Mana from Devoted Druid. Untapped Devoted Druid.
This is
There
exciting.
we go. Mana from Devoted Druid. 2 green floating. Untapped Devoted Druid. Here comes Renegade Rallier. On Revolt.
So we
Just
could
revolting.
rally back either of the creatures here. So this should give Ryan some decent information about what is in Justin's hand.
He gets back Vizier.
Okay. So
We're
do
gonna
we
see a
see a
druid?
Devoted Druid here?
Yeah.
I think it's highly likely.
Was there, here's my question.
Or do we have a second Rallier?
It is a second Rallier.
Okay.
It's going to be second Rallier, get back
Okay.
Devoted Druid. So my question here is, he had the Devoted Druid in play, but we had to hit Revolt in order to get back that Vizier. So if we had, this is, maybe a reason for NX6. If we'd had a fetch land available, then this would be infinite mana right now.
It's true. Yeah, the fetch land enabling the Renegade Rallier is an interesting point here for sure.
So Ryan Westberg with a Gear Ripper Ether Grid is going to gun down Devoted Druid before it can be active, which makes this whole line of play a little bit mopier. Yeah, I think especially with the Ralliers in this build, the fetches and the Horizon lands would be pretty good choices, especially with Ren and 6. I think this Ren and 6 may not be on the higher end of that test.
Yeah. I agree. I'm always fascinated when I see the activation of Urza and like whether players. I know that you're supposed to shuffle when you activate Urza, but generally if neither player knows the contents of the deck, if there hasn't been any sort of like scrying or anything else like that, it's pretty safe to like not shuffle and flip off the top.
Yeah.
But I I think it's your opponent has to be like comfortable with that.
Yeah. Oh, I always, yeah, as an Urza player, I always clear it with my opponent. You know, I'll indicate to them, since the last time we shuffled this deck, nothing's happened. Are we good? And if they say no, I'll shuffle it for them. But like, uh, it is definitely a much better shortcut, especially when you start getting up to multiple activations a turn. You just want to be flipping those cards.
Also, chat of note, the GAC is not gone yet, so we could very well be getting gacked this evening.
One last gack.
It could be one last
for the
gacking.
road. Yeah, worth noting, local player and judge Aaron Henner was in the top 8 of the Modern GP at Vegas. One of the 5 Hogak players in the top 8. Just to tell you about how healthy that format is.
Yeah.
So
congrats.
yeah, congrats to Aaron Henner. I know he was working really hard to grind that deck and get proficient with it because, yes, the deck is full of free wins, but there were a lot of Hogak players and they did not all top 8. So congrats to those who played with the skill to get there.
Oh my god, who fly. Yes. Congax. Is the best way to say that.
I absolutely keeping that. So we're going to spin Urza again. See where we can get. Justin's at 18. Ryan's got a commanding position in this game. With an ensnaring bridge, closing this game is going to be difficult, and he has 1 minute to do it.
Yeah.
If I'm Ryan right now, I am strongly considering... No, he is the Hex Drinker. You can't even go for a line where you're building your construct to be lethal and then killing sacrificing your own ensnaring bridge. But man, his kingdom for a Sword of the Meek right now.
Right. But even if we go to turns, Ryan has a number of turns to find it and quite a few Urza activations and draw steps.
And it is an instant win button. He may or may not have one of the strategies to avoid passing the turn. I know some builds have been moving away from having a Spine of Ishsaw, though we did see a Pirate Spellbomb, so I assume there's probably a Scrap Trawler in there. But a lot of these Urza decks run some way to avoid passing the turn for matchups like Infect, where that can be dangerous, even if you have Infinite Life and Infinite Thopters. But if he doesn't have one of those conditions in his deck, then he needs to not be passing the turn on his last turn of extra turns.
Correct. Of note, in this case, we do have an Ether Grid out.
Ah, right. We're good.
So we're good here. But yes, in principle, certainly.
All right, and that's going to be time and round. So we're going to have Justin here, I believe, is turn 0. What are we doing?
Justin has kind of valiantly played this game out, very overrun by the number of permanents that Ryan has. Okay, that's a card. That's a card that does things here. That card is Harsh Mentor. Can we bring that card up? So Harsh Mentor is a bear. It's a red bear. And what it does is when your opponents activate abilities of artifact creatures or lands on the battlefield, as long as they are not mana abilities, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player.
So I actually think that this is almost great, except there's an Ether Grid.
Yes.
So I think it just eats 2 Ether Grid activations, or Ryan takes 2 and blows it up with a spell bomb, and then carries on with his day.
But it deals 4 damage when it eats 2 Ether Grid activations.
No, because he's activating the Ether Grid, which is
an enchantment.
So, unfortunately, Harsh Mentor here saves Justin 2 points of face damage, which I'm not sure that we're in a position for Ryan to be straight killing. I mean, maybe we are.
Okay.
We're just going to take the 2 and spell bomb and get that out of here.
All right.
And so that's going to give him an extra point of face damage, maybe 2, depending on the parity of his number of artifacts. So lining these up real quick, 2, 4, 6, 8 artifacts available currently. We're going to spin Urza, so we've got now 3 points of face damage available. If he hits another artifact, he'll get those 2 right back off of Sai.
I've been trying to think of a pun about Harsh Mentor dying. The best I have is it was a mild mentor, which is just really not good enough.
Nah. The harsh reality of the situation is that Pirate Spellbomb is there all the time. Oh, fine, I'm out of here. Go home.
No, the chat was that was definitely directed to me.
Ah.
Oh, Hoofly again.
It wasn't meant to be. Yes.
Pretty good.
Yes, you're killing it today. Dead of Winter.
You don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
Elect not to cast. I'm about not casting that right
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing to remember about Urza. Just because you flip it doesn't mean you have to have it.
It's like Cascade.
When's the last time you opted not to cascade?
Earlier today,
Why?
when my opponent had a Teferi on the board. To 3 fairy.
All right, that's a good reason.
And by
though.
opted not, I mean I cascaded and then my opponent informed me that I couldn't cast the spell for the, manyth time.
Well, that's awkward.
Well, it's Travis, so he usually forgives me.
Oh. Little Teferi. I'm not a fan, but here we are. Okay, we're gonna cast another Urza, get another construct. He was counting for that Dead of Winter, and I appreciate that because if the numbers had added up right such that his construct could live, then we could wipe the opposing board completely, save the construct, sack the bridge, win the game next turn, but that was not how this added up.
Oh, that's a good thought.
But yeah, the problem is a lot of those constructs, power and toughness, are coming off those Thopters, which will die to the Dead of Winter, and then leave, constructs that would have survived then too small.
Right. So it looks like we're moving to turn 3 here.
All right. Astrolabe, trigger, draw a card.
It's a ritual. Pay 1 blue, add 2 blue, draw a card.
It's great. I love these decks. We're going to spin. Spin it to win it.
If they have
2,
to draw
4,
this
6,
game,
8,
Justin's going to be
10.
so happy. I imagine Justin probably scoops to Ryan, but I guess Justin has outs here. I mean,
I think so. Thopter Foundry, get a Thopter.
this is where the board gets very difficult to keep clean.
Yep. Yes, it does. And we're going to start tracking Thopters with dice, which is sometimes a necessary evil. I'll often do 1 untapped, 1 tapped, just to track when you've got an excessive number.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good question. Does Justin have a line to win? Because if he can pull the Vizier, there's that. But then is he also going to be able to find a payoff?
Well, I mean, theoretically, Ryan could tap down too many things and not have access to an Ether Grid activation.
But then how is he winning the game? I guess if he taps down his blockers and Justin pulls Night of Autumn, pops the bridge, he has 10 power available to attack. That's not going to do it. But it's close, so Ryan would have to... Oh, and Ryan has Sai and Urza to block, so I'm not seeing where this is going to go. Ballista plus Vizier and 1 draw step would be impressive and suspicious both. Yeah, this is not, I think, winnable for Vizier here. Ryan is just trying to actually close the game rather than draw the match. And so we're going to keep spinning. All right, shuffling the deck. Let's see it. Yeah, just in here, I think, just ready to write out for the draw. Mindstone. All right. Get a Thopter. Make a mana. Crack a Mindstone. Draw a card. Say go. Okay? We're not on that plan. I think we are holding up... Well, we're only holding up 1 Ether Grid activation here, so I'm a little bit curious. So one thing that does get me about this token management is if you're going to use dice on a tap token to indicate the number of tap tokens, just do that.
Yeah, for all of them. Yeah, I think the players are just trying to close out in a reasonable
fair.
amount of time here. You know, is it possible that Ryan could just get enough artifacts that he can just machine gun out Justin with the Ether Grid?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10,
So it
12,
takes 36.
14, 15. I see 15 artifacts right now.
We need 2 more turns,
Yeah.
realistically.
I was thinking about that a couple turns ago, whether he was going to be able to get critical mass. When I was counting it out, it did seem like a better idea. That I think he was on the right plan to just be searching for the Sword of the Meek. Though there is a question if you want to be searching for Sword of the Meek with Urza or with Sai, because for less mana, you can get more looks if you're drawing cards with Sai.
You also,
I think
so if you hit Whir of Invention with Urza, are you able to?
no.
So Sai also gives that as an option, right?
Yes.
So that does seem like that gives you quite a few more possible outs. Maybe we see that with the critical mass of artifacts when Ryan gets to a turn. Okay.
Okay, Justin decided.
Look at this. This is the next card.
Oh man, he almost did it.
Well, yeah. Almost maybe had a chance if with Ryan with no artifacts.
Yeah. That was close. Oh, you don't like I don't like dice with tokens either, up to a point. But we can get to a point with tokens. When you start getting to like your 16th token,
Yeah.
it is a little bit better to have spin downs than
Yep.
it is to have that many tokens on the
Agreed.
table.
Yeah, agreed.
So here's what we saw come in. We did see Cindervines. We saw Night of Autumn. We saw Veil of Summer come in. I imagine maybe as a counter to... Fatal Push. It hits that. If you're really worried about a critical turn, you can Veil of Summer in response to a little Teferi, so it can't bounce after it resolves. So there are definitely reasons to have
Also hits
Veil here.
Thoughtseize.
It does, which we did see brought in
Right.
by Ryan in the end.